evening, race fans, and welcome to Podium Esports coverage of the second race for Season 4 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series, presented by Rowdy Energy, the Sim Seats 120, live from iRacing's virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am James Mike, the voice of Podium Esports, alongside Terry Radford, producers always, Ryan Bauer, Dougie Beard. Excellent work, as per usual, on the cameras. Terry, we go away from the craziness and the wildness that we saw at Daytona 1 week ago, where David Schildhouse picked up his first win in the MNR Pro Series, and we come to a track that might not necessarily be as wild or crazy you would think, but then you stop and you think about what happened here in Season 3 when we took the Cup cars to Las Vegas, and we had 3 drivers wrecking coming off of Turn 4 in the final lap. So we think this should be a calmer race than what we saw last week, but I would say at this point, nothing is certain.
Some of the drivers I talked to was telling me that this race is going to be crazier than Daytona. We saw a calm, cool, and collective group go into race 1 here for Monday Night Racing, and we saw Schildhouse take the win. And the one thing that I can say coming into Vegas is, well, if you're him, throw caution to the wind. You have nothing to lose. You're already locked into the playoffs, but I expect this to go pretty crazy, especially if we get a green-white checkered or maybe even a 10-lap sprint to the finish.
It could be a very wild sprint to the finish. You got to look at the point standings just a few moments ago. Not too much to talk about there besides David Schildhouse getting his first career victory. He leads the point standings and has 3 playoff points by virtue of his victory. We start moving into the meat of the Monday Night Racing schedule. That's where we'll take a look in just a moment. We've left Daytona. We now move to Las Vegas, and then you've got Michigan, the Daytona Road Course, Knoxville, Phoenix, Michigan again with the 1987 cars in Chicagoland before the Christmas break. So a few good races here coming up the next handful of weeks.
Tell you what I'm excited for, Knoxville in the trucks on November 29th. That right there to me is amazing that iRacing has put that on here, and the physics that the trucks have going around that beautiful dirt track. The best of the best is going to go hit that, and I expect that one to be better, if not exceeding every expectation we have going into it.
You figure it'll be slippery, slidey, all sorts of things. We saw it last year in Season 2. Probably going to see more of the same here in Season 4. Let's get to know Las Vegas Motor Speedway a little bit better, Terry Radford. This actually the final piece of a complex that originally started with the bull ring at Las Vegas back in the 1980s, but Bruton Smith bought the property, built all sorts of things around it, and this is the NASCAR oval portion of this facility, which is arguably the most extensive motorsports complex in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, it turns 10 to 20 degrees of banking, and you see it open in 1996, a year after the greatest of all time myself was born. 1.5 miles, and the front stretch is banked at 9 degrees, the back stretch at 3. But we talked about the keys of missing the bumps. Man, this is going to be interesting. They're going to use every bit of the 20 degrees of progressive banking in the corners.
Talked to some of the drivers in the lead up to tonight's race, and the one thing they noted was that you have maybe 5 to 10 laps tops running the outright inside lane, and then it's better to slide up the racetrack in order to preserve your tires over the course of a long green flag run. Tonight we go for 120 laps, 180 miles, 289.2 kilometers. Drivers will have 1 faster pair available in the pits, 3 green white checkers if we need them, 3 sets of tires available to these drivers in the pits on a fixed setup that will be using 75% of the full tank of gas. We'll see how much fun we get into once we get into the meat of this race, but getting ready to line up the starting grid in just a few moments. Terry Bickford, Terry Radford, not Terry Bickford. There we go. Dollar in the jar, I guess, right?
It's okay. I'm watching qualifying, and I watched practice. We didn't see a whole lot of fast speeds come out. You saw a lot of pack racing during practice. They were trying to get ready for race conditions, but it's a little bit different from practice to the race. A little bit more sunshine on the track. Now the sun's starting to set. We'll see this track go from a little bit of heat in it, and it's just going to slowly be taken out with the desert here in Las Vegas. I expect to see the speeds pick up as we continuously go, but let's see that starting lineup, James.
Let's see that starting lineup, and forgive me because I saw James Bickford at the top of the qualifying order, so I said Terry Bickford, and my mind got caught in two places. So Terry Radford, I can tell you that James Bickford is your pole sitter with a 30.311. Colin Fern joins him on the outside of the front row. TJ Majors, Robbie Lyons, the defending champion, Kyle Busch, and Josh Bilicki complete the first three rows of the grid.
You're looking here at row 4, Rajah Caruth will be right there, and on his outsides, Brian Cook. Preston Pardis down there in row 5, and rounding out your top 10 is G.J. Cummings. Then you got Adam Cabot and Brad Perez on row 6.
Perez making his season debut tonight. Gabe Wood is there. Will Rogers making up row 7th. 15th and 16th, David Schildhouse and Steven Dallas, Matt Stolner, and Justin Melillo starting 17th and 18th tonight.
And we got Travis Brown, a.k.a. Moonhead, right there on row 10 with Max Kennan. Ford Martin, the owner of this series, is right next to Devin Henry, Dylan Welch, and Gary Sexton. One of the main men over here at Podium is going to be rounding out row 12.
Ryan Vargas and Stephen Wilson will roll off 25th and 26th. 27th on the grid belongs to Seth Eggert. 28th is where you'll find Stephen Font. Brett Baldock and Mark Rubilis complete the top 30.
Rolling on back outside of here, Ron Capps making his Monday night racing debut for the season right next to Garrett Miller, Chris Wilner, Bernard Pollard Jr., my favorite Titan, Cole Urban, and Garrett Smithley on row 18.
Michael Massey, Drew Welker, and Case Kallenbach, the three drivers to complete our 39-car field for the second race of Season 4 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy, the Sim Seats 120. In sim, air temperature 77 degrees Fahrenheit, track temp is 80 degrees Fahrenheit, winds headed to the north at 2 miles an hour, humidity of 57%. The current in-sim time is the default day for iRacing, May 15th, 2021. It is right around 7:45 p.m. local time, so you would expect that these temperatures are going to drop a little bit as we transition from the day into the night. We saw that a little bit in the Road to Glory race just a few moments ago, Terry, and this track should tighten up, so you want to make sure you stay on top of that and adjust your driving style, since these are fixed setups, to make sure you don't burn off the tires too much, especially towards the back end of the race.
Yeah, I was talking to the drivers. They were kind of filling me in on the fact that when this does start to become a very dark race, I mean, it's just going to get really black out here, where it's going to be kind of hard to see what's going on in front of you. The lights are going to come on, but you're not really going to know until you actually know. The practice time that they put in here in their sims, it's nothing compared to race time. You put 39 cars on the track, the air starts to get worse. You're going to be trying to get through the center of the corner. I mean, there's so many fast people here. You're going to have a hard time making these passes anyway.
Well, to find out how to get to victory lane, let's throw it over to the Fox Sports Studios and once again bring in Larry McReynolds.
Hey guys, here's my 3 keys to the race tonight at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Restarts, get all you can, especially on fresh tires on a restart. Be on your toes, but be aggressive as well. Green flag stops. If you do have to make a green flag stop, be careful getting on the pit road. You're carrying a lot of speed through turns 3 and 4, and the entrance to pit road is right in the middle of turn 4. Avoid the bumps. The bumps in the lower grooves of turns 1 and 2, they get worse every time we race there. Don't be afraid to move up about a lane off the bottom in turns 1 and 2 to avoid the bumps that upset the race car. There you have it. Back to you, James and Kenna.
Well, thank you very much, Larry Matt, because we get sent for action here. Lights are off on the pace car, so we'll go green flag racing next time by. For late breaking stories from pit road, let's go down to our pit reporter for the first time this evening, Justin Prince.
One of the drivers you may have noticed who didn't set a qualifying time was Garrett Smithley, who was very successful, as an understatement, the last time this series came here with this package. Keep in mind that prior to the grid, he rushed in, turned on his stream, took off his hoodie, jumped into his driving seat, then adjusted his mic as he started rolling the car off the starting grid down the front straightaway. So Smithley had to scramble his way into the 52 car to be able to make it to the green flag for tonight's action. Also keep in mind some of the different perspectives for this evening. Take, for example, Brad Perez. Keep an eye on him as he's expecting to go a little bit more cautious until about 20 to go for this one. In our words, James, plenty of different approaches, some having to rush on in, others may rush to the front, others may play patient.
should be fun to see their strategies changing. Also of note, we have extended this initial set of pace laps before we go green flag racing. And one of the wonderful little quirks of iRacing, our race control, has lost his internet connection. So we're going to wait a few moments just to let him get back into the session. And once he's back properly in his place in the virtual tower above Las Vegas Motor Speedway, we'll go back to green flag racing once again. But a few things to touch on here. We've got some new faces for this week. Brad Perez making his season debut. He missed the opener at Daytona last week, but coming in, we'll have a little bit more information on him later on in the evening. But sharp-looking race car and a new number based off of the ARCA Menard Series start he made at Watkins Glen in August with Josh Williams Motorsports, Terry.
It's a very good little good paint scheme that he's got going on right there. But James, we come into race 2, and I spoke to a couple of these drivers before we came on air, and a couple of these guys just flat out said, I got a direct quote from Travis Brown. He said, I'm just trying to finish. He enjoyed everything we did last week, and he was talking about running wide open for 10 laps, but it's really, really bad because you're going to burn your tires off faster than most. He said expect a potential 10-lap dash to the finish because every single driver is on go tonight. Daytona was just a precursor to the amazing action we're going to see here at Vegas.
So, one more set of pace laps here. We initially thought we'd get 2. We'll see whether or not we need to extend, but we figure lights are going to come off the pace car this time, so not more than a lap or 2 before we get set to go racing. Reminder that tonight's broadcast is brought to you by our friends at Rowdy Energy, and if you text M&R to the number on your screen, 855-856-7912, you can receive 15% off of your first order of Rowdy anything. It's not just the energy drinks. You can get hoodies, hats, t-shirts, all sorts of stuff from their online store at rowdyenergy.com, and pick yourself some Rowdy Energy drink or Rowdy Energy merch today.
I do enjoy the strawberry lemonade Rowdy Energy. It's been one of my favorite ones. Yeah, our producer's got the green apple in his hands, and what better thing to have when you wake up in the morning is a Rowdy Energy in your hands. It gets you through the day. It's got me through this entire week. I've been deadbeat tired here.
It gets you rowdy and ready for the day, shall we say?
Yeah.
Should I just go ahead and see myself out now?
Just take it. Run with it. I like it.
It wouldn't be a podium podcast without a terrible pun and some sort of musical reference, right? Which we can bring in to start tonight's Sim Seats 120, because as this race progresses, the sun will go down and the moon will come up. And the question tonight is, who leaves Las Vegas with the cup? See how many cake fans got that one. Hopefully. We have a few people educated on 90s music in our audience tonight. But as it stands, pace car will come off the pit road, and we are glad you're with us here on Podium Esports or on the iRacing set of channels as we get set to go green flag racing as James Bickford takes off and the Sim Seats 120 is underway from Las Vegas. A good start there from James Bickford, our Beef Jerky Unlimited Pole Award winner for the night, who paced the BSD stock starting grid to the Big Green Egg green flag and took off by maybe a car length, but TJ Majors already in the wings and ready to rock and roll and try and get after Bickford for the race lead, Terry.
Yeah, look at what Kyle Busch, the hometown boy, he's painting the white line down there. Bickford had a good jump. TJ Majors was surprisingly fast. He wasn't that quick in practice. I didn't see him move up into the top 10 too much, but good race pace. He's up there right on the back bumper of Bickford, and he's running and starting to go up into that second groove. It's exactly what I thought we were going to see to start this race, is we're 3 wide back in the pack.
3 wide, just 3 wide a little bit further back in the pack as we get a look here at Josh Mendoza, who is the man atop the tower of the aforementioned race control we talked about just a few moments ago. He's got a very special cam that allows him to see all of the racetrack in one shot, making sure that everything goes smoothly from the officiating perspective as we carry on in this SimSeats 122nd race of the season for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy. Bickford still in control, Majors in second, Kyle Busch up to third, and the battles have settled out until you get to 6, where they're 3 wide, and you've got Colin Fern, Josh Bilicki, Boris Cook, Adam Cabot, a whole bunch of people racing for a spot in the top 10.
Well, everybody wants the track position. Out of all the drivers that I spoke to and spotters, they said if you don't get track position early in this race, you're really going to set yourself back for the long run. It's hard to pass once you get the heat in the tires and you really start to feel them, because they were talking about it's going to be a race for the high lane. I expect to start seeing them as there's a car on the wall, trouble on the back straightaway.
Trouble on the back straightaway right as Kyle Busch was trying to make the pass on James Bickford for the race lead. Boris Cook is one of the drivers involved. He was not the only one that I saw go around. Stephen Ellis also in trouble. We'll get a look at the replay momentarily to show you what happened to bring out our first yellow flag of the evening, Terry.
And that's just hard racing. You see the 3 wide action coming off of turn number 2. One slip up, and you just see this little bit of the contact that was made from the bottom into the 46. The 10 goes up, catches the 46, and then it just mayhem breaks out. We talked about the chaos ensuing. This is just drivers fighting for the high lane, coming off the corner, racing for the track position. They make slight contact, and I mean, luckily they got a fast repair in the bank.
Shades of Matt Busa's incident from Las Vegas in the Coke Series race here last season, where he bounced up the wall and the wreck was considerably larger in the middle of the pack at that point. But Stephen Ellis involved as well as Boris Cook. Looks like Matt Stolnick got some damage, as did Dylan Welch in his Toyota Camry. So that handful of drivers in trouble. Meanwhile, few drivers coming down the pit road for service already, Justin. See if we can get Justin Prince here a little bit later and see if we can get some words here from the folks coming down pit road. Any news, notes, noise from the folks that were involved in that incident, JP?
I can tell you, Matt Stolnick is not happy, let's put it that way, with that specific contact. He's elected to come and take the fast repair. As a result of this situation, several more have also come on in for some repairs, manual damage repairs for Gabe Wood, a fast repair for Brian Boris Cook. As well, keep in mind, just prior to that caution, after the situation with Gabe Wood's car, he was surprised to be able to save his car to prevent that from being a massive one a half a lap sooner. In other words, it's Rogers, Malone, Cook, Stolnick, Ellis, Pollard Jr., Wilner, and Wood who have all had to come down for either a fast repair or for some manual damage repair under the first caution on lap 7.
Or maybe just to get out of the middle of that. We didn't get the chance to touch on it as it happened live, but I saw it just out of the corner of my eye. Gabe Wood was in the middle of about a 5-wide sandwich coming down the front straightaway, and they nearly wrecked coming across the line to complete lap 2 before we had our first proper yellow with Stephen Ellis on the backstretch. So lots of incidents in the early going of this SimSeats 120, but of note, look at Kyle Busch, who started this race in 5th, already up to 2nd, and as you pointed out a few moments ago, Terry, wouldn't he love to get a victory at his hometown track?
Yeah, I mean, a Las Vegas native sponsor in the series, the Rowdy Energy, man. He wants to take it to victory lane tonight. I don't think there would be any sweeter victory for him than to get this here in the Monday Night Racing League. I'm just very surprised with how wild the racing got on the initial start of this race. I knew people were going to be trying to charge to the front. You can go about 10 laps wide open, but it's a bad strategy, according to the drivers, to continuously push your car. But I'm wild to see what Wild Thing's going to do on the outsider here on his restart.
Other thing worth noting, I think, with this car track combo, I don't think people realize how much you drive off of the right rear tire with this package, but especially as the laps wear on and you get a long green flag run, you really do have to manage corner exit and just be careful about how you get back on the throttle, because if you try and go full throttle out right on corner exit all the way through turn 4 in particular, you're likely to loop yourself around as we get a good look at Devin Henry, who was on the scene for Sports 360 Arizona this past weekend at Phoenix Raceway during NASCAR's championship weekend, now trying to work his way up to the field. He'll restart in the 18th position as we go back to green flag racing. We'll look for the big green egg, green flag to fly over the field as we come to lap 9 of 120. Barney the flag man waiting for his moment. Bickford takes off, and we're back racing once again in Las Vegas. Bickford takes off. Good restart for his Charlotte Phoenix machine. He's gone. Kyle Busch trying to hold off TJ Majors. Meanwhile, Raja Caruth trying to push Kyle Busch outright to second. And Caruth has got some help in the form of Colin Fern and Adam Cabot up top.
Yeah, the high lane really isn't building the momentum that we thought we were going to see early in the race. You see the 29 down on the bottom. Now we got a side-by-side battle for the lead. Kyle Busch takes it. He gets up there. He gets a big shot from Rajat Caruth in the 44. Doing a good job working it. The bottom lane, now we go 3 wide for P3. The battles are everywhere here at Vegas, and Kyle Busch takes the point.
Kyle Busch to the race lead early on in this SimSeats 120, and he's brought Raja Caruth with him, who's had plenty of speed. Raja was not afraid in that opening handful of laps to be aggressive, to try and make moves some way, somehow. He's going to try and roll the momentum on that high line to clear James Bickford and follow Kyle Busch to go to second.
Now, how does the draft play out here as your side-by-side for second? Bickford and Raja, they trying to side draft going to the corner. The 44 came down on the 29 just a little bit, trying to pinch some of the air off of him, get him down on that yellow line and hold him there so he doesn't get the speed off the exit. Kyle Busch manages to keep the lead here. As you look at what James Bickford's doing, he has a bird's eye view of what the leader's been able to do as he goes to side draft Raja on the front straightaway.
The Charlotte Phoenix driver has a bird's eye view. Have you caught my penchant for terrible jokes now, Terry?
I feel like I have.
They keep on bouncing off each other, though. We may end up with another yellow flag if they keep that up. That's the second time that Bickford and Caruth have gotten into each other in the last lap. And now TJ Majors might have something to say about it, as Colin Fern will try and take his Shenandoah Shine Chevy Camaro all the way to the wall to get around everyone as Raja nearly gets turned right in the middle of everyone in the front straightaway. He somehow hung on to it, but everybody had to scatter around the DC event Chevrolet Camaro to make sure they didn't run into him and bring out our second yellow flag early on.
Man, his turkey was almost cooked. You just see him. Look at the wheels. Look at what he's doing. Look at that. He just saves it. He's sliding, slipping and sliding all down the front straightaway, and those tires right there are hollering like a sheep. He doesn't know what to do because now he's got heat in him. And then he goes 4 wide. He goes, you know what? I'm going to almost get turned on the front straightaway. I might as well take it 4 wide going down the front and take it into 1.
Also of note from race control, Will Rogers, black flag. You see his 24 machine, the Space Station Gaming Toyota Camry, the number 24 right there in the mix of things, but he's a lap down. He was black flag for a restart violation when we get green flag racing a few laps ago, so that's why he's in the mix with the race leaders. It'll be interesting to see what kind of pace he has as they're going to wreck a little bit further behind, and the yellow flag will come out once again. Looks like Ford Martin is the driver that went around on the exit of turn 4.
And this is crazy racing on the initial start. 15 laps into this event. We've already seen 2 yellow flags. Not a lot of give and take out here this evening. As we look at the replay here, you see the 07 coming into the corner. He's clear. I mean, there's nobody really around him. Let's see what happens as he does exit. 2 cars make contact, and he's just there for the ride. There's nowhere to go at this racetrack. It looks wide on the camera angles and from the aerial shots, but when you're too wide, that car behind you really has nowhere to go. There's no advantage to just jump all the way up to the outside. And that could have been worse than it was. Good on those drivers for being able to collect them.
Look at how close this was. Devin Henry, who I think did end up getting some damage at the end of that, but that should have been much, much worse for the driver out of Glendale, Arizona. He should have had a tremendous amount of nose damage. Instead, just a little bit of dinged up sheet metal on the right front of his Ford Mustang, as that initially started, like you said, when Travis Brown and Brad Perez got into one another.
Man, that could have been disastrous. As we are about to get Devin Henry here, the man from Glendale, Arizona. Well, Devin Henry, you had a bit of an issue there. What's going on with the car?
I'm not sure. It looks all right for the most part. You see the chaos happening in front of you, and I try to get on the brakes as soon as I could, but never fun when you see a car pointed at a 90-degree angle in front of you. I didn't see that I have any damage, but I also can't see the front of the car, so we'll see what happens, guys.
Sounds like a good thing. Can't see it, don't know it's there. Drive it.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
All right, man. I appreciate the talk. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Have fun, guys.
There is a good look at the Devin Henry machine, that 77 honoring his grandmother on the hood. A pretty cool little tribute there. And Devin, a accomplished painter. I don't think people realize that he paints all of his own schemes, and there's always some sort of retro flair. Of course, the Henry family very well versed on the dirt racing side of things in Arizona. Long-time, multi-generation dirt car racer, so he's a little bit more experienced with the brown track than the black asphalt racetracks that we go to in Monday Night Racing. But all the while, still really, really well versed in all forms of racing and can talk about just about any of them as well as anybody. And also the voice of the MPI Cup Series that you can hear on the Podium Esports Twitch channel on Sunday nights.
Yeah, it's been fun coming down there and calling some of those races while he was stepped away. Can't wait to see him come back. But the damage from my angle doesn't look too bad. Aerodynamics plays a big factor here at Las Vegas. And for him, if his spotter's telling him he's fine and we see the pace stay in the car, right now his best lap time's at 29.9. That's faster than most of the cars in front of him. And he evened out with Robbie Lyons, the defending champion. So he's got good speed in it now. What's the speed going to do with the little bit of right front damage? It's going to be interesting to follow that story along.
It will be interesting to follow that story along. Another story we can touch on here, since he was involved in that incident, and we were just talking about him. We said we'd have more information on Brad Perez. We've got a little bit more on Brad Perez, who not only makes his season debut tonight, but also announced a brand new partnership with the Mohawk Foundation, Breast Cancer Awareness. And I am reading from his Twitter, so these are straight from Brad himself. If you get 5K of donations, he'll dye his hair pink. If he gets 10K worth of donations throughout the season, he'll get a pink mohawk. How about that? See if we can get a little bit better view of his car. But there's a QR code right behind the front wheels that you can use to donate to the Mohawk Foundation if you so choose. So a little bit of, shall we say, Kligerman-esque marketing magic there from Brad Perez, but really cool to see him bring the Mohawk Foundation to the Mohawk Foundation. I saw was very active on Twitter, very excited for tonight's race, which Brad said he was going to win. He said, I don't care where we're racing, what we're doing, I'm going to win it. So we'll see whether or not Brad's shot calling acumen is up to par by the end of this race.
I mean, I'm kind of hoping that he would have went out and did the old Brandon Brown theory, just going out and laying on the hood of your car, going out and have a little fun with it. But to pink mohawk and for breast cancer awareness, there's no better things to do. And if he's going to go out there, encourage everybody, go have some fun, go donate it. And I mean, I shaved my head for it. So if he can dye his hair pink with a mohawk, that would be dope.
It would be fun. I definitely love to see a camera of that if it happens, and hopefully it does. We'll touch on some of the other stories that have come up in the past week of MNR activity over the course of tonight's race. But for now, lights are off. Big green egg, green flag about to come out once again. Kyle Busch, the control car for this restart, which will come on lap 19 of 120.
I wonder if James Bickford's going to get the same restart he's got. He's changed his lane. He jumps to the outside with Kyle Busch. Can he fire off? And no, he can't.
He cannot. Kyle Busch got a great restart, clear of everybody by about 2 to 3 car lengths, and Bickford immediately goes all the way to the apron to keep Adam Cabot at bay, which might allow TJ Majors to get a good run on the outside of Cabot and create a battle for P3 coming out of turn 2.
Don't sleep on Colin Fern. He jumped down there to the bottom really fast, and every single one of these drivers is jockeying for the position as we come to put lap 20 on the board. Clean air is key. This is the big thing. You don't want to be trapped back in dirty air, especially when the tires start to fall off. Side-by-side battle for the P3 spot. The race within the race, as you see the battle for the leads heating up too.
Bickford's got his momentum going, and he's already found that middle lane. We talked about it, how drivers are going to slide up the racetrack as these runs progress. Looks like Bickford's already done that as you get a look at Swervin Cole Irvin for the Oakland Athletics starting pitcher. A little bit further back in the field, we'll see if we can get word as to what happened to him. But hearing that he just wrecked all by himself and is going to have to try and rebound as Kyle Busch continues to fend off this pack of cars for the race lead.
I'm telling you, that just tickled my gizzard when you said Swervin Cole Irvin. A little throwback right there. I like it, James Pike, but he threw a fastball on the field. He crashed, but now he has to work his way up to the front, and he's going to have to do it at a fast pace because these drivers are putting down some burner laps. You see Kyle Busch, you see James Bickford. They've both been really consistent. They've raced every single line on this racetrack from the bottom to the top as a big move happens for P2, almost 3 wide coming across the start stripe.
Bickford had to lift on corner exit, and that allowed Colin Fern to go to his outside and Adam Cabot to go to his inside, and Bickford's going to lose a tremendous amount of track position, at least 2 spots and maybe more, as they're 3 wide now for the 3rd spot.
Yeah, 3 wide down the back straightaway, and every driver wants what they got. Adam Cabot trying to roll the bottom. This is going to be a little sketchy here as we look on board with the drivers behind him. Robbie Lyons had a great view of what they had going on. Driving the bottom underneath 2 wide up on the outside. You start to take a little side force away from the car. They start to slide up the racetrack, and this is going to be interesting as they come through the center of the corner. I got taught very fast racing here the other day that all you got to do is get up on the back bumper, take the air off the spoiler. You're sending them up the racetrack. I expect to see that later, but right now we're looking on James Bickford pass for the 3rd place position. Here comes TJ Majors.
TJ Majors making moves as you get a good look at the onboard camera of James Bickford, as well as the rig camera too. You can see him going after it with his Charlotte Phoenix colors, racing out of their offices in Charlotte, North Carolina. Meanwhile, Colin Fern started to reel in Kyle Busch just a little bit as we've got this great battle here. This is, I believe, 5th, 6th, 7th, as Bickford's still right in the middle of the racetrack. It's TJ Cummings to his outside and Cabot to his inside, and Garrett Smithley, who's made a charge from 36th all the way to 8th now as they come across the stripe in the opening 25 laps.
That's why Garrett Smithley races in the Cup Series. He has driven his way, powered up 29 positions to 7th right now, and he's predominantly been doing it on the outside, been paying attention to some of his lap times, and the last time they came across the stripe, he was 3 wide, and he still ran a 31.1 compared to the leader's 30.0. He's fast, and the lap time fall off has not been crazy at all. They've only fell off 0.8 of a second since the drop of the green flag. A lot of speed still left in this racetrack.
Plenty of speed if you can find it. The trick is, can you move around the racetrack to find the groove that works for you? That's the biggest question. Here's the battle for 4th. Majors, Cummings on the inside. Robbie Lyons stuck in the middle, and he got a little bit loose on corner entry. Had to check up just a bit. So now here comes Ryan Vargas to his inside. Garrett Smithley to his outside. 3 wide once again as they race down the front stretch at Las Vegas, and everybody trying to go find some real estate to go chase after TJ Majors and take away 4th.
Man, if you could think the racing would get crazier on lap 27 while you're looking at it, you got a 3 wide battle going on right here, and you got the defending champion trapped in the hornet's nest with them. That's what champion drivers do, is they find a way out of it, as Ryan Vargas gets loose right above Stephen Pardus and Garrett Smithley, and now we're 3 wide once again. Here comes the 42 of Preston Pardus.
Look at Preston Pardus on the inside, taking advantage of the checkups from the drivers around him to take some track position. He'll move up into the 8th spot. Smithley now all by himself and going to slide immediately up to the top of the racetrack, and Pardus will counter by diving down in the bottom to get some sort of lane to drive it off into turn 3.
Sweeping moves down the back straightaway. This is always getting turned. Oh, man. Did he save it? He saved it. He saved it off the front bumper of Brian Vargas right there. I got to see who that was. Brian Vargas was right underneath that car, and he was slapped sideways, and he saved it through the corner. My goodness, they told me coming into this show that this is where the big boys play, and that move right there was the biggest and baddest move of the race.
It was a wild move. For more information on James Bickford's run, let's go down to Justin Prince.
And when it comes to Bickford, right at the start of the run, he had basically said to himself, that he was trying to learn more so from Kyle Busch when Kyle Busch held on to the race lead, because he noticed with how his line was, he was so good early on, and that's why he's a Cup Series driver. And then he started to struggle with the battle lane, where he started to struggle to rotate to the bottom of the racetrack, James, before saying he should have ran his own race. There's a lot of frustration for the number 29 machine. You can also say when it comes to Vargas from that just recent contact, he is not happy over the radio as well with his race car as a result of that bump.
Ryan Vargas had to struggle a little bit there just to get that car gathered back up. He's still in the top 10, currently runs in 7th, but a little bit of damage to the right front of his Monarch Roofing Chevy Camaro. We'll see how that affects him over the course of this race. Meanwhile, here's your onboard with Kyle Busch. Rajah Caruth is starting to lay down some fast times and really might be the fastest car in the top 5 at the moment, but he has received a warning from race control for blinking, as has Brad Perez, who runs in the 13th position. Now, for those who are unaware, if you don't have the strongest of internet connections, sometimes your car will jump in and then jump out and then jump in of the race session for a split second, and that can cause some issues with the drivers around you. If you blink back in on top of someone, you can end up wrecking them, not necessarily by getting into them, but just because your internet wasn't strong enough to hold a stable connection. So it can present an issue in close quarters racing. It's something that just about every league in iRacing watches, not just Monday Night Racing. It's almost always a driver issue, and if you have problems like that, sometimes you will get a black flag and be told to go to the back of the field. So Rajah has speed, but at this point, can his connection hold up? And can the internet from his apartment and his rig hold up enough for him to go after Kyle Busch?
I think he does. I can touch on something with Ryan Vargas. He actually caught the wall off the exit of turn 4. That created more damage on the right-hand side of that Monarch Roofing Chevrolet. Not a whole lot of damage to affect it, but he looks like he's pushing tight here. Every time he comes off the corner, he can barely get back into the gas. The 10 of DJ Cummings is right there on the back bumper, taking some of that air away from him as we look right here on board with Ryan Vargas. He's painting the line down there, but as he comes up, it doesn't look like he can get the power down all the way as he's trying to make moves, but the car's not wanting to make the moves with him.
Good look at the driver out of La Mirada, California, now residing in the Charlotte area and trying to get his Monarch Roofing Chevy Camaro towards the front. He's currently in the 6th position. Meanwhile, Brad Perez has received a black flag for continuous blinking, so he'll have to come down pit road and head towards the back of this field and try and regroup later. Meanwhile, good look at Vargas here. He's going to go underneath TJ Majors to try and find himself in the top 5, or maybe give up the position to Majors and leave DJ Cummings room up top to make the pass and send Vargas back to 7th.
Well, battle for seconds heated up. Here comes Caruth and Preston Pardis. They're side by side off the exit of 4. Caruth is going to be able to keep the position due to the momentum on the outside. He caught the draft of the 51 of Kyle Busch, but insert Preston Pardis, insert Colin Fern. They're all making their way to the front. They're starting to catch on to what Kyle Busch is doing. He went from the bottom to the middle, and he has stayed there, staying off the bumps going into turns 1 and 2, and doing a marvelous job in 3 and 4. He paints the white line. Everybody's wanting a piece of the lead, but 37 laps on the board. Kyle Busch has been the dominant guy, but the speeds say otherwise because there's a fastest man in town, and that's Colin Fern. He just set the fastest lap out of the top 5.
They're all quick, and they're all quicker than Kyle Busch at the moment. Rajah Caruth has been faster by about a 10th the last handful of laps, and we may see a battle for the race lead here momentarily as Caruth looks to the inside of Kyle Busch to try and take over the race lead. It'll get checked up by Busch momentarily, and that battle will hold at least for a straightaway.
Yeah, you see what Caruth is doing. He's trying to get right there on the driver's side of that 51 Rowdy Energy Toyota, but he's not able to get all the way underneath him. You see Kyle kind of playing the defensive line. He'll go and start a little up, then he'll work it back down, then he'll work it back up. He's trying everything possible. This is why he's a 2-time Cup Series champion, because he knows the moves and where to position yourself. But Caruth is in the catbird seat. He knows that he can learn later in the race on what the 51's doing. Preston Pardis is right there as well. All 3 of these drivers have been the fastest guys on the racetrack for the last 3 laps at least. So I expect to see the 44 making another move as he goes to the outside of the 51 into 1.
Brad Perez has been told to park the car for continuous internet issues on his end, so night over for the man behind the wheel of the 60 car. Tough break for the Mohawk Foundation Ford Mustang. Not the way he wanted to start off his Season 4 campaign. Meanwhile, here goes Raja Caruth with all that momentum on the high side. I wasn't sure if he was going to have enough to complete the pass, but move into the lead he does. Raja Caruth, your new race leader on lap 40 of 120.
And that was a power move, James Pike. He went to the middle groove, and he's been riding the middle groove ever since the start of the race. He really hasn't migrated from it. We've seen drivers go to the wall, but for Caruth, and now Preston Bardis going to the outside of the 51, he's going to complete the pass, move Rowdy back to P3, and it's interesting to see, when are the gambling things going to start? When are you going to see people throw the dice on the table and come down pit lane? We got 40 laps on the board. A couple drivers decided to pit early. When are we going to see some green flag stops, as we've went green ever since?
We have gone green here for about the last 30-ish laps or so. As we remind you that tonight's broadcast of Monday Night Racing is brought to you by Battle Beaver. Battle Beaver has everything you need for your next custom controller, console, or PC skin, with options for PlayStation, Xbox, GameCube, and more. Battle Beaver has everything you need to make your system look exactly the way you want it. Head over to battlebeavercustoms.com to pick up your next skin today. Raja Caruth maybe has a tenth or so extra on Preston Bardis and Kyle Busch, a third of the way home in the Sim Seats 120, but he's starting to stretch it out, starting to find a little bit of speed and trying to create enough of a weight behind his Chevy Camaro that it throws the air all over the nose of Bardis and Busch and keeps them from being able to get a run on Raja Caruth. We saw that at Kansas last year with Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick. It's the same sort of idea that Raja Caruth is trying to apply here in order to hold on to the race lead.
And we have somebody coming down pit lane right here. That's James Bickford. He comes down. He's one of the first lead cars to come in here. But you see the battle going on back here with Gary Sexton and Stephen Wilson. They're behind last week's winner, David Schildhouse. The gambling has to start somewhere. We saw a very aggressive move by Boris Cook. He went down to the apron, almost got into the grass, and now more cars coming down pit lane. Here we go, throwing them on the table early at Vegas.
Everybody coming down pit road for service. Justin Prince, you have an idea of the strategy these drivers are trying to play if they're coming down now?
And not gonna lie, 3 different teams, I asked the question, how do you see this strategy playing out as well as the fuel run? All of them essentially said, we're going to run it until we go dry on the fuel tanks. That is the play for many of these groups, including Ryan Vargas, who's off and away. He's elected to hold on to his respective faster pair after his issue earlier on. Gabe Wood still up on the jacks, completing his 4 tires currently. Keep in mind, some of the drivers who have not pit over the past couple cautions, James, they are reporting they can go up to maybe 7 to 6 laps or so from this point. The first driver who pit under some of the recent cautions, Preston Bardis, who's approaching his 30th lap on the stint, so he can go much further here.
Preston Bardis, indeed, the leader of the drivers who came in almost 30 laps ago. Next car in line amongst that bunch, David Schildhouse, last week's winner, who currently sits in 11th. As you get a look at your top 3 leaders, they have separated from the rest of the field to the tune of about a second and a half over TJ Majors and DJ Cummings, who hold the 4th and 5th positions. And then it strings out nicely between Cabot and Lyons and Cook and everyone until you get to Schildhouse, who's got a nice little battle going with Stephen Wilson just outside of the top 10.
This is a power game right now, as you see the battle going on right here with David Schildhouse. The battle of people wanting to come down pit lane and people not wanting to come down right now. Everybody wants to play strategy the way they have it. Kyle Busch is down, but for Preston Bardis to be stretching the fuel, gambling early of sorts, you got to come into this race with a different mentality because you have so many options to play. You heard Justin Prince talk about that teams didn't really know, how far they could take it. They said, we're just going to run it dry. What do we have to lose? We're at race 2 of the season. We know we're going to be fast coming up. But for Preston Bardis to go early like this with David Schildhouse, that is remarkable that he's ready just to throw him out there and go, I want to win so bad that I just want to throw the script out and say, I don't need analytics. I'm just going to go win on raw speed.
Raja Caruth comes in as you ride on board with Boris Cook, currently in the 4th spot. He may come down pit road in just a few moments. Adam Cabot, Robbie Lyons still waiting for their opportunity to come in. Lyons is going to make his stop now. The defending champion comes in from 3rd on lap 48, coming to lap 49 as we try and stay abreast of all of the stops within this cycle under the green flag here in the Sim Seats 120 at the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch back on the racetrack and trying to make his charge back up to the front, currently in 22nd, but he is, by my count, about the 4th or 5th car in the running amongst those that have already come down pit road.
And it was big. It was crucial for the drivers who initially started the wave of coming down pit road. For the leaders, they really didn't catch much of an eye when the guys about 15th on back started coming in. But once they started seeing people from the top 10 make their way down pit road, they knew it was go time. They had to push the button and get on the radio and tell their crew chief, look, we got to come down now because they're going to jump us here. You talked about Kyle Busch being the 4th car in line right here. That is troublesome if you're in the 51 Kent, because any type of caution, whether it's a single car spin or just anything whatsoever, is going to hurt his chances to come back to win this race, as he has been one of the dominant cars so far in the early parts of this race.
And this sets up really nicely for the drivers who came in under one of the yellow flags, the Preston Partishes, the David Schildhouses. You stretch this long enough and you can get it to a point where you can make it home on one more stop if you play it correctly. So we'll see how it goes for Partis, how it goes for Schildhouse, how it goes for Will Rogers, Stephen Wilson, Dylan Welch, Max Kennan, Justin Melillo, everybody that we saw on that caution when Travis Brown and Brad Perez and company wrecked on the front straightaway. Those are the ones who are up at the front now as they go 4 wide for track position a little bit further back in the pack.
James Pike, you talk about a yellow, and they're like, hey, we know how to make one of those. Let's go 4 wide on the front straightaway. As you look on board with Ryan Vargas, he's passing David Schildhouse right here, and he's starting to catch the 29. This has been an interesting battle going on back here in the middle part of this pack, is everybody's looking to get their laps back, and you have fresh tires, old tires, medium set tires racing one another, and they're racing like we're racing for a rain delay or something.
Of note here, Partis and Schildhouse came into the same lap, but Partis has got a 4-second advantage on Schildhouse, who in turn has, call it maybe a half a second or so, there are a few car lengths on Will Rogers, who is the 3rd car in line amongst those that pitted under the yellow flag. But you see Kyle Busch there just drive off to the inside, and that there is your visual representation of the difference between old and new tires here at Las Vegas. Look at this car. It's Case Kaltenbach to the inside now of David Schildhouse. And even though Kaltenbach's deep in the field, again, the fresh tires making all the difference as they blitz Schildhouse like he's standing still.
Yeah, they're passing him like a bullet in the Matrix. Every single one of these drivers is out here just flat-footing it because they know it. They got to go. They know they have to get their lap back because any unfortunate timing in this race could be a setback. It's hard to make up a lot of time in a field this big and with this many good drivers in it. Coming from the back to the front without some type of help is always difficult. I mean, we saw Garrett Smithley. He started in the back of the pack, but because of cautions. We had 2 back-to-back cautions, and a couple people came down pit lane, was able to just move him up. He progressively got up here. As we look at this battle coming down the Nellis straightaway, they don't care. Gary Sexton's still rolling at it.
Sexton's still rolling. We're waiting on Partis and Schildhouse and company. This is going to be the game of, do you get a yellow flag here amongst these different paces and different tire lives that allows you to come in from the race lead? What an amazing break that would be for anyone in the top 10 at this point if we get a yellow flag at some stage. Just get a good look here just a bit further back. Gary Sexton there to the inside of, I believe, that's Matt Stolnick to his outside, and then Adam Cabot down low.
Well, once we actually cycle through the green flag pit stops here, you'll have Caruth, Fern, Busch, Bickford, and Ryan Vargas will be your top 5. With TJ Majors, he lost a couple positions on pit lane, but it was to no fault of his own. Just didn't have the best entry or the best exit off of pit lane. But you see how much fresh tires matter. There's Preston Partis, your leader, and there's everybody else just shooting on by him, and they're gone. Within a blink of an eye, Preston Partis was getting past, and then they're out of his sight.
Fastest lap we've seen on fresh tires in this field, I believe, belongs to Raja Karuth with a 30.032. Last time by, Preston Portis ran a 32.053, so nearly a 2-second difference between new tires and old tires in this field. You can't tell me it matters to these drivers a little bit. It matters a lot.
Yeah, it matters a lot, and Rajah Caruth actually just caught the wall. He was passing the 31, and he caught the wall just ever so slightly. Not enough to show any damage, but he did get the wall. Preston Partis, we got a recap where they're asking, tell me what's going on, and look at here. Look at Stefan Wilson. He spins it coming onto pit lane. This is a difficult pit lane to get on. We heard Larry Mack actually talk about it in his keys to victory. They're carrying a lot of speed in 3 and 4, and you got to drop it on down to pit road speed. And for there, he locked it up and almost missed pit road entirely.
The other problem is that it's a curved entrance to pit road, so you can't necessarily lock down on the brakes because you still have to turn a little bit as you enter the pit road here at Las Vegas. And that equally makes it difficult to get down to 45 miles an hour and make sure that you're not looping yourself around like we just saw Stefan Wilson just do.
Yeah, and that's a tough break because he's going to lose a lot of time right there. The equivalent to that is watching what we saw in the Cup race yesterday. Just a small little hiccup on pulling the tire out. That's a matter of 2 or 3 seconds. And on the racetrack, that's an eternity when the people on the racetrack who just pitted are putting 30s down on the speed chart. So it's a fine line to get on pit road aggressively, but then there's too aggressive. He almost missed it, but he yanked the wheel, and then it just went around on him. Battle for 10th place going on here. TJ Majors is trying to get around Ryan Vargas right here on the low side, and then you put Garrett Smithley and DJ Cummings in the mix. 4-car blanket, which will be for the P3 position once we get going and everybody else comes down pit road.
We are going to try and go ahead and do this now since we've hit this point in the race, because as it is past halfway, it's time to bring you our iRacing Midway Race Break, which is brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in Australian supercars, IndyCar, IMSA, NASCAR, the world of outlaws, and more. Preston Portis, your race leader with 61 laps complete. Will Rogers in second. Max Kinnon currently in possession of the third spot. Fourth belongs to Justin Melillo, and Travis Brown rides in fifth. Sixth is where you'll find Rajah Caruth. He's the first of the cars that have come down pit road already. Colin Furness in seventh. Eighth belongs to Kyle Busch. TJ Majors runs in ninth, and Garrett Smithley holds the last spot in the top 10. Terry?
Adam Cabot is sitting in 11th. Ryan Vargas 12th. David Schildhouse just took the position away. He's going to move up. And then you're going to pop down here. You'll see Robbie Lyons in the 14th. Gary Sexton 15th. Gabe Wood 16th. James Bickford at 17th. Garrett Miller, Brett Baldeck, and Brian Boris Cook. Too many B's and C's. It rounds out your top 20.
Preston Portis is down pit road. We'll make note of that as we continue through this mix of drivers, as is Will Rogers, as is Travis Brown. So they're going to slide back here into our company in the 20th position on back, which starts with David Schildhouse. Seth Eggert is in 21st. Steve Lafont rides in the 22nd spot, and 23rd belongs to Devin Henry. Ron Capps holds the 24th position at this time. 25th belongs to Stephen Ellis. Mark Rubilis rides in the 26th spot. 27th is where you'll find Ford Martin, Will Rogers, Stephen Wilson, and Travis Brown now complete the top 30 after pit stops.
You got Case Collenbach, Chris Wilner, Cole Irvin, Matt Stallneck, Michael Massey, Drew Welker, Dylan Welch, Bernard Pollard Jr., and Brad Perez will be your 39th car on the field, and he is out of the race.
And that concludes tonight's iRacing Midway Race Break. With over 170,000 drivers on the service and over 90 laser scan tracks and cars to choose from, iRacing is your portal to the racing world. Get on track today at iRacing.com. And a friendly reminder that we are going to have a yellow flag. I will stop. That was certainly not planned by any stretch of the imagination. I caught that out of the corner of my eye. Bernard Pollard ended up in trouble. The Super Bowl champion struggling to get off of pit road properly, and that will change things just a little bit. We're going to replay here of what happened to Bernard Pollard coming off of pit road. It just looks like he got on the gas too quickly.
Yeah, he did. And I tell you who's really upset right now, and that my friend, would be Stephen Pardis, because Stephen Pardis had an opportunity to get this going. Or Preston Pardis had an opportunity to play the strategy perfectly. And if Bernard Paula Jr. just would have pitted 2 laps sooner, we would have seen Preston Pardis with the lead. And instead, he's trapped back in the back of the field.
Yeah, Max Kennan, Preston Pardis, Justin Malillo all get trapped at the back of this with the way the stops came out. A tough break for them. So this actually probably is going to benefit some of the drivers who came down early and who stayed on the regular strategy. Your Kyle Bushes, your Colin Ferns, your Adam Gavitt's and company. And as they come down to pit road, we will go to Justin Prince.
And off into the pit lane, a majority of these drivers on the lead lap will go as a result of this caution flag. Keep in mind, they are outside the projected window by, for some of the drivers, a few laps, give or take 10 to 15 for a majority of them, in fact. So it's going to be a very tight situation. The race off the pit road currently taking place as several other competitors are still trying to catch up to the rest of the pack. Boris Cook, Shieldhouse of Font, Henry and company did stay out here, but Will Rogers is amongst those who have just also cycled and gained some track position as a result of this situation. Colin Fern, Kyle Busch amongst the first off the lane in of itself here, James. An interesting situation to say the very least. And right before all of that, there was the discussion from Pardis and his camp about how that strategy could play out, where they were looking to try and stretch as far as they could before they ran enough gas, of course, down the pit lane. Essentially, they had said prior to that their bet has been made. As a result of the caution, they're 37th.
Two things to notice when we come out of pit stops. The first is that iRacing's Black Friday sale is going on now, and iRacing, your portal to the racing world. If you get on track at iRacing.com, this is mathematically the best time to renew your subscription. I make a point personally every time I'm due for it to do it during Black Friday, because you get a percentage discount. You can save a tremendous amount of money, 25% for all 1 year and 2 year renewals in the service. So if you think you're going to be around for a while, no better time to renew your subscription to iRacing than during the Black Friday side. The other piece that we need to touch on before we go back to a big green egg, green flag in the SimCs 120 is our weekly giveaways. And tonight we've got a wonderful giveaway courtesy of our friends at Rowdy Energy. Going to be giving away a 12-pack. And of course, if you aren't the lucky winner, text MNR to 855-856-7912 to receive 15% off your first order from the RowdyEnergy.com shop. And a reminder that that's not just the drink. You can come in and you can get a shirt, a hat. I think I've seen masks, a whole bunch of variety of goods from the Rowdy Energy website if you so choose. But tonight's winner of the Rowdy Energy giveaway and the winner of a free 12-pack of Rowdy Energy is for Judy Blue, and the best friend Buster looks like he's very ready for, I don't know, maybe if the ball's any indication, a peach, a mango, or a orange type flavor of Rowdy Energy, maybe?
Look at that sweet baby right there with his tongue out. I just want to pet him. Who's a good boy.
No, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. So congratulations to For Judy Blue, our winner of the weekly Rowdy Energy giveaway. And make sure you stay tuned all throughout Season 4 of Monday Night Racing. You may be the next winner. Make sure you're active on Twitter. Tweet at Rowdy Energy. Tweet at Monday Night Racing. Tell them how much you're paying attention to the broadcast, how much you're liking what you're seeing on your screens. And we'll keep an eye out for you all season long. Lights are off on the pace car. Big green egg, green flag to come back out momentarily in this SimSeats 120 second race of Season 4 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway in Las Vegas, Nevada. Brian Boris Cook, David Shieldhouse, Steve Affont, Mark Rapillis, Ford Martin, Will Rogers, Stephen Wilson. The top 7 have stayed out. Kyle Busch will restart, or rather top 8, I suppose, have stayed out. And it will be Colin Fern, who is the first car on fresh tires, restarting in 9th. So watch for Fern, that red and white Shenandoah Shine machine. He'll be the first one to have a crack at trying to drive through this field. The question will be whether or not he leads all the fresh tire drivers through this group to the race lead, or whether or not somebody gets around him over the course of the next few laps.
why not play strategy? I mean, David Shieldhouse already has a win. Throw him on the table. Turn the Lady Gaga off because your poker face just went out the window. He made his bed. He's going to have to sleep in it. He's on the outside the front row. It's showtime with 51 to go.
It is indeed, as we see the pace car come off of pit road. Boris Cook going to take off in the restart zone, and we'll go back to green flag racing. Big green egg, green flags out once again, and we're back on the way of the Sim Seats 120. A little bit of commotion further back in the field, but a good restart for Boris Cook, who will go clear of Shieldhouse and Font by 2 or 3 car lengths before they hit turn 1.
Smart move by Shieldhouse to move in front of the 11 of Stephen Affont. That was crucial to him, maybe going 2 for 2 this evening, as it's going bananas in the back, in the middle part of this field. All the fresh tires wanting to come up there, 4 wide going into 3. They're up against the wall. Everybody's looking for real estate here this evening, and here comes Rowdy. Kyle Busch up through that chaos. Move him up to the 6th place position, and now P5 going for 4th.
Mark LaBellis threw a huge block on Colin Furr, and that's why he's not part of this lead group of cars that came down pit road. Instead, it's Kyle Busch who's driven to the front amongst the drivers who just came down for tires and service under that caution. Will Rogers is the second car in line. He's to the outside of, I believe, that's Stephen Wilson, as you get a good look just a little bit further back in the field. And Kyle Busch trying to chase down Boris Cook and David Shieldhouse, who's back up front where he finished 1 week ago. Question is whether or not he can hang on when you've got a 2-time Cup Series champion coming after you, as they're going to wreck over in 1 and 2. Are they going to save it? Are we going to stay green flag racing? I believe for the moment, yes, we are somehow, but they had to go all over the racetrack on the entry to 1 to avoid bringing out another yellow flag.
Well, the car of Stephen Wilson wanted to go fast, had the Talladega Nights little Ricky Bobby going on, but showed me the Rowdy. Rowdy takes the lead, goes past David Shieldhouse, and look how quick he made it go. He drove to the bottom, got to the apron, almost touched the grass, and he's setting sail on the field. But how in the world did they save that crash? That was in the middle of the pack. Chaos was about to ensue, but they saved it, and the strategy would have went out the window, James.
That was Steve Affont, who just came down on Stephen Wilson. Didn't realize they were 3 wide on corner entry. Affont's got a tremendous amount of damage. He's already back to 30th and continuing to slip. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch has the race lead away from David Shieldhouse. And here comes Adam Cabot, champion of Season 3 of the Esports Racing League and Championship 4 driver in Season 3 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy 1 season ago.
Well, Adam Cabot's trying to play spoiler here to Kyle Busch, and he's setting down some very fast lap times. He's not as fast right now as Kyle Busch on the longer run, but on this short run, he has been a 10th faster as he's taking a peek, getting clean air on the front of that number 17. Doing a great job, drove his way through the field, got through all the chaos that was really starting to get crazy back there in the back part of this racing track. But goodness, they've single filed out now. Chaos needs to happen.
Chaos may well just happen. Kyle Busch continuing to hang on to the race lead, but for how much longer? They're driving away from David Shieldhouse. He's not that much of a factor as he was a few laps ago, but Adam Cabot is looking to the left, looking to the right, looking high, looking low, looking for any real estate he can take to get alongside Kyle Busch and start switching up his line around this racetrack.
Clean air is going to be his best friend. He catches the draft down the back straightaway, but when he goes through the center of the corner, he doesn't want to get tight. And being right on the back bumper, following the line that Kyle Busch is following, look at him. He's pushing up just a little bit. He begins to get tighter, but he gets a great run. It was a match made in heaven for him. He gets behind the 51, slides up and just diamonds it down back to the bottom, gets the run, but can't make anything happen as they go into 1.
Leaders were 3/10 faster than David Shieldhouse. We'll get a look here. I believe this is the incident that nearly put Steve Affont into the fence, or rather did put him into the fence and nearly put us all under the yellow flag. But yeah, contact there with Stephen Wilson. Just didn't realize that Wilson was going underneath them, as there was company also up top and on the high line alongside Affont as well, as he is now down in the 35th position, having gotten his car just a little bit fixed up. But it's a tough road here going forward for Steve Affont, who's going to try and hang on as you get a good look at TJ Majors, who's already clear of David Shieldhouse. And now here comes Colin Furn to the inside of Shieldhouse as well, on the right side of your screens.
Well, now you're starting to see the fresh tires play dividends. Schildhouse is the first car that stayed out. He's in the 5th place position, but he's battling Colin Fern, or he was battling Colin Fern, as now he got past him for 4th, put David to 5th. The fresh tires really hasn't affected what Schildhouse is doing. Yeah, he's lost 4 positions, but this is paying off. If we were to get a timely caution for the 20, it's going to play dividends, because that's going to put him up +7. That would be a net game of 7 as the battle for the lead is starting to heat up, coming off of 4.
Battle for the lead is getting better. Kyle Busch continuing to pace Adam Cabot as it stands, but worth noting that we're about to hit the 40 lap to go mark. We're about at the point where you would probably be okay even if we got a few green-white checkers. So somebody might go crazy and try and bring it down here. Justin Prince, what are you hearing so far as pit strategy is concerned with the drivers who just came in and the drivers who just stayed out?
Well, hearing with some of the drivers, a mixed bag in that regard. In regards to David Schildhouse, was among the drivers who stayed out last caution. When he fell back to 3rd, the first thought he had and the first thing he said was, it's not about these two, chat. It's about our strategy, essentially. He was not focused on them with the fresher tires at the time as those drivers sort things out. Also, meanwhile, Adam Cabot. He's currently been having a mishposh of decisions amongst that strategy camp where he's thought about either trying to save tires or trying to work with Kyle Busch to break away from the pack. His crew chief has told him that they are looking close on the number to make it to the end on gas, James.
That's going to be the interesting thing. And is someone going to try and potentially save it? We know they're going to be near the edge. If you came down under that yellow flag, it will be very close. You may be sputtering at the end if we go green the rest of the way. We know the drivers that stayed out, that maybe 10-ish car group or so, they will have to come down at least one more time. But if they come down and we go green the rest of the way and these drivers run out of fuel, or they may have to come in for a splash and go, I would think that the advantage would then go to the drivers who came in earlier and stayed out here. You get the pit stop done and dusted, you don't have to worry about the splash, then you lose less time and you eventually pick up a few more spots. There's a good look at Ryan Vargas trying to work his way to the outside of Will Rogers and of David Schildhouse and company. Everybody fighting for a position. This is 6th, 7th, 8th, and Garrett Smithley just up the road as the last car in the top 5.
Well, right now, at this crucial point of the race, all your cards are on the table with no aces left in the hole. Everybody has to make it, for whether or not they want to. The tires are gonna have to be out the window. If we get a green flag pit stop right here, I could almost bet you my bottom dollar that you're just gonna see a splash and go from a ton of these guys. And if you're looking right here at a driver that could potentially come down and take 4 tires without falling a lot of time back on pit lane, go all the way down to the 10th place position with Will Rogers. He would be, in my opinion, 3 seconds, almost 4 seconds back to be the first guy that could take tires and make that time up to get to the back bumper of the 51.
And we've had a lot of talk, we've heard consistently from Justin Prince that the Space Station gaming drivers have been right on top of the strategy, constantly crunching numbers. So I wonder if that's something that Jake Fisher and company are trying to piece together atop their virtual box, see if they can figure out, maybe there's an opportunity to split this run in half and come in about maybe, call it what, 15 laps or so, and get that final stop in and just knock it out. If we go green the rest of the way, it is most advantageous to split the stop down the middle. So there's a lot of decisions that you can make, a lot of paths that you can take with your pit strategy to try and maximize your returns. The question is, which one is the best? And quite frankly, we won't know until we know how the rest of this race plays out, as we get a good look at TJ Majors and company.
I mean, that's how much these guys and girls, they put into what they do in their sim rig. They go over notes consistently about what they're going to do here, and you don't know until it's time to go. You get on the racetrack and you don't know where the cautions are going to fall. You don't know how the strategy is going to play out. But for the minds and the crunching of the numbers that they're doing, everybody's got their calculator out, and it's probably smoking from how much they're typing in. If we save this much, we can get here. We can make it to 1 green-white checker. Or if we get a caution here, we can do this. There's a lot of games being played as we see what David Schildhouse is doing. He's doing very well for a guy that stayed out on 9-lap old tires compared to the field. His net gain now is up 6. I mean, he was sitting back kind of outside the top 10, not really a deciding factor in this race. Started 15th, and now he finds himself in the top 10. And if we get a timely yellow, David Schildhouse looks like a genius.
He may well just. Whether or not it pans out that way, you'll just have to stay tuned and see. As we remind you that tonight's coverage of Monday Night Racing is brought to you by our friends at Boosted.biz. Boosted builds a custom platform for your brand to sell your products. They take care of everything, so pay nothing on the front end and let them handle the rest. To get started with your online e-commerce store, visit their website at boosted.biz today. Front four have strung out nicely over a second spread. A little bit further back, though, they're still on top of each other. This is DJ Cummings, currently in 10th, looking just ahead at defending series champion Robbie Lyons and season 2 champion Will Rogers. So 2 Monday Night Racing champions battling for position heads up on the racetrack.
I tell you who I'm very impressed with is the 13 machine of Gary Sexton. Didn't have a whole lot of speed in practice, but here he comes into the race and he's managed himself very well. He's battling for the 8th place position as he tries to get around DJ Cummings right here for that 10th place spot. Riding the bottom, he's really starting to roll it better. As the run has progressed, he's been one of the best guys on a long green flag run. The tires are really coming to him. The track's coming into its own. Track temp's going down. Intensity's picking up, and the speeds are starting to get there as well.
Starting to see these numbers come down, and indeed, track's cooled off just a little bit. It's 76 degrees Fahrenheit, air temp 83 degrees Fahrenheit, track temp, and the in-sim time now closer to about 9 o'clock local time, so it would make sense, especially now that the sun has gone down. This track will be a little bit cooler, a little bit tighter, a little bit grippier, and these cars, in turn, be a little bit faster. Meanwhile, for the drivers who came down not too long ago, going to have to start worrying about that final pit stop at some point. Here's a look at Colin Fern, just trying to see whether or not he's got some room to go after TJ Majors just up the road. Majors currently last man on the podium in 3rd.
Well, we see what Colin Fern's been doing here. He's been riding the middle lane, and as I say that, he starts to progress himself down to the bottom. But as I was talking to the drivers, they talked about migrating to the high line, and that's really what's going to save you tires. They said middle to high groove is really where you want it to be, as we got a big battle back here in the back, right behind David Schildhouse. Everybody's jockeying for the positions, hoping that we either see green flag pit stops take off, and if I'm Kennan right here, you're in the prime spot that if you start coming down pit road, Robbie Lyons coming down, any of these drivers, you're going to put Kyle Busch on notice and like, hey, fast guys are starting to come down pit lane. I've got to make my move, and I've got to make it now. So the crew chiefs are paying attention to what these drivers right here in this pack are doing, because this could ultimately decide when we start seeing stops or not.
Looking on board, Max Kennan, who's just at the back of this train of cars. Robbie Lyons in front of him. Kennan, of course, part of the team at Donnie Wilson Motorsports, who put together a lot of these Super Link models that Toyota runs across the country in short track races. Sammy Smith behind the wheel of some of their machines and getting the job done at Jennerstown in July, amongst some of the other ones that Donnie Wilson has had this year. But as it stands, here's a look off the back of David Schildhouse, who currently is 6th, as you see DJ Cummings peek to the outside of Ryan Vargas to try and take away the 7th position.
Riding the high line, he's getting the draft off the back bumper of the 20. The 6 of Ryan Vargas has started to move his line around. He's not going to be able to get it there as he clears him coming on the back straightaway. Here comes Gary Sexton up. Caution flag comes out, and this is exactly what the field wanted to see.
Stephen Ellis, the one in trouble, or at least one of the drivers in trouble. I don't know if there was more help, but yeah, big incident between Garrett Miller and Stephen Ellis over in turn 1. We'll get a look at the replay and see what happened, but yeah. Oh, that could get interesting there, because Garrett Miller decided to use all the racetrack and then the grass and then some, and came up and did not realize Ford Martin was right there to his outside.
Yeah, that's using every blade of grass, as they say on the football field. He used every inch of the racing surface. He's trying to go. It was go time for him as you look on board at Ford Martin right here. You see that beautiful Fox area, and he comes up the racetrack, and yeah, he just thought he was clear, or he was trying to clear himself, but he comes off the front bumper of Ford Martin. Into the wall he goes, and with 25 laps to go, as they say in Vegas on the Strip, it's showtime, baby.
Leaders are coming down pit road, so let's go down to Justin Prince.
A lot of discussions on strategy just prior to that. Some were thinking about trying to stretch as far as they could. Others were thinking about the short pit. But now, this caution flag changes things, to say the very least, as these drivers come into the pit lane. Cabot was starting to reel on in Kyle Busch in the closing stages of that previous run. He was starting to pick up about a tenth or so, up 2 per lap. He's off into the pit lane. Keep in mind, some of these drivers are going to be very tight on tire sets as well. Hence why a strategy call just taken from Ryan Vargas. 2 tires for the number 6 machine. We'll see Ryan Vargas, the first one off the lane. Next drivers off the lane, Kyle Busch, Colin Fern, Adam Cabot.
Vargas, I think, was the only one to take 2. I'm watching times come through on our live timing and scoring just to confirm that, but it does appear that Ryan Vargas was the only driver to take 2 tires, and he will be in control of this race when we get our big green egg, green flag in just a few laps. So now that we've got Ryan Vargas in the booth, Ryan, take us through the decision behind taking 2 tires instead of 4.
I took no tires. I was banking on this race having a little bit more long runs, so I ran out of tires the last stop. So this is just a fuel thing, and I'm probably going to get eaten alive, but I'm going to make sure I give plenty of room.
How wide are you going to make your Monarch Roofing Chevy Camaro?
Man, you know, I'm glad to be running this paint scheme again. I mean, obviously it looks good on the racetrack, looks good in real life, looks good on the sim. Just not my race here tonight, but enjoying myself. Always fun racing in this league.
And enjoying a return to Monday Night Racing. Nice to get back into the group of things after a few months away, no?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I wish I'd be a little bit more, wish I would have played my cards a little bit better tonight. Like I said, I banked on that run, last run going long. I was just going to do a splash and go and maybe luck into a top 5, top 10, but I did not need this yellow. So we'll see how this goes. I'm just going to, like I said, just try and stay out of everybody's way.
We'll let you focus and get mentally prepared for this restart. There's Ryan Vargas in the Monarch Roofing Chevy Camaro, who will restart for the race lead. But as you heard him, Terry, no tires left. So it's old rubber controlling this from the start. And that could be very advantageous for Kyle Busch in particular.
Well, and Garrett Smithley's out of tires as well. He's starting in the 5th place position right here. Ryan Vargas and Garrett Smithley, 3.72 pit time and a 5.1 pit time for them. This could get very crazy. I believe Gary Sexton's out of tires as well, and so is Max Kennan. They're 8th, 9th, and it's a mixed bag around here, but your big winner, David Schildhaus, right here in this 6th place position, back on sequence with the leaders. He's going for 2 in a row.
I was about to say, I don't think he minded this yellow flag one bit, did David Schildhaus, because you're right, it allows him to lock down that track position, and he will be able to restart in the top 5 after qualifying in 15th. So a net gain of 9 spots from the beginning of this race as it stands, but plenty to go as we have just over 20 laps left in this SimSeats 120. Plenty of events coming up in the world of Podium Esports before we get the green flag and before we move into next week's event. You've got the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series coming your way from Homestead Miami Speedway tomorrow night on iRacing's Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube channels at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Then PCA Sim Racing Series 7 heads to Alton Park. You've got the Challenger and Sport classes on Wednesday, November the 10th. Club and Pro Racing on Friday, November the 12th. Both broadcasts starting at 9 p.m. Eastern on the PCA Sim Racing YouTube channel. The SimMax Cup Series, powered by MPI, heads to the newest member of Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, Dover. I guess what will become Dover Motor Speedway, if we know the nomenclature well enough. That race coming your way Sunday night, November 14th at 9:15 p.m. Eastern on the Podium Esports Twitch channel. Before we're back at it with the Super Late Models of Michigan next week for Monday Night Racing Pro Series at 7 p.m. Eastern next Monday on the Podium Esports Twitch channel, and then 8 p.m. on twitch.tv/Podium2, Podium Facebook and YouTube pages, and the MNR Twitter. It'll be your home for round number 3 of this Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy, which goes back to green flag racing with 20 laps to go in the SimSeats 120 from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And just how long can Ryan Vargas hold on to the race lead before he gets eaten alive by everybody? He's going to go right to the outside, not even play a factor in this. So it is heads up between Colin Fern and Kyle Busch for the point as they come back to the backstretch.
And the worst case scenario for Kyle Busch, caution flag coming out. And that changes a lot because they were on the go. Kyle Busch didn't get the restart he wanted, and on his lid back here in the back. Let's see what happened coming through. Is this just everybody wanting to fight for positions, and he's flipping. He's up in the air. That's the 53 of Josh Bilicki.
That was a big wreck from Bilicki out of Menominee Falls, Wisconsin. Just a big shunt over at 1 and 2. A little bit of contact there with Brett Baldeck, the reporter for Fox 46, the local Charlotte affiliate, in the back of the field. And I think Devin Henry also got a piece of this as well. But Bilicki, no question, coming away the worst for wear in that wreck.
Yeah, worse for wear right there. As you look at the onboard with Henry right here, you just see the cars on the bottom, everybody fighting for it. He gets into Bilicki, up into the wall, catches the Ford car, spins him around. He goes down to the bottom. Luckily, no other further contact. He should be able to get on pit road and make some of his repairs. But with 20 laps to go, Colin Fern, Kyle Busch, Garrett Smithley, Ryan Vargas, Adam Cabot, top 5 here. The race truly begins now for the top 5. Everybody's going to be jockeying for the middle to high groove to build the momentum off the exit of the corners, James.
As we clear our Tough Go flooring, 20 laps to go as well. Make note of that as we enter the final stages of tonight's race, and remind you all that tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Tough Go Flooring, an industrial flooring company specializing in custom floors and drains. Tough Go doesn't believe in the one-size-fits-all approach, and neither should you. They listen to your needs and requirements and develop custom solutions for every client. And for more information, you can visit their website at toughgoflooring.com. So Colin Fern was able to get control of this over Kyle Busch. Lights are off on the pace car. We'll go back to green flag racing on lap 103. 18 laps to go. We do have green white checkers if we need them, but most importantly for this restart, the front 3 all set to go, or rather the front row set to go. The next 2 drivers, as I look at it, because Garrett Smithley's in the same boat, we just heard he and Ryan Vargas, no tires. So they stayed out on the old rubber, and it's going to be the job of David Schildhouse, Adam Cabot, and everybody else behind those 2 to get around them and get back to Colin Fern and Kyle Busch. That sets up nicely for the 2 leaders as they come out of turn 4. Fern will control this restart. Pace car will come back down pit road, and the big green egg, green flag will come out once again in the Sim Seats 120. A good jump there from Colin Fern. He was able to beat Kyle Busch to it by maybe a car length, 2 car lengths, could be 3 or 4. A big restart from Colin Fern as they head off into 1, and David Schildhouse got a good restart as well.
Not what Kyle Busch wanted to see. Garrett Smithley's right there door to door with him going into turn 1 off the exit of 2. Here comes Schildhouse. How aggressive is he going to be? He knows he's locked in the playoffs, and he's going to the apron. He's like, I got to go. We've got to make moves happen. Move David Schildhouse to P2. Kyle Busch on the outside of this, and he's battling with the guy with no tires. 3 wide again for 3rd. Kyle's still trapped up there. Has to make this work if he's going to win this race, because Adam Cabot wants, and he needs this win to solidify that he's one of the best as they're jockeying back here in the back, and it's 3 wide again for 3rd.
They wreck up in the back of the field. The yellow flag comes out as Kyle Busch gave Adam Cabot a shot just before that yellow came out. But what a brilliant move from David Schildhouse to use Garrett Smithley as a sort of a pick almost on Kyle Busch and keep Busch pinned up in that high groove, as Schildhouse in the fresh tires was able to flat-foot it all the way around 3 and 4 and jump to 2nd, which is where he'll be on this restart. Let's get a look at this most recent yellow flag and see what happened further back in the field as Ryan Vargas eventually did get eaten up. That was Matt Stolnick who ended up in trouble, and a few more drivers caught up in that too. Dylan Welch, Gabe Wood, I saw among some of the others, and a few drivers who I believe will be out of fast repairs too.
Yeah, this is a bad break for the 6 of Ryan Vargas, as it looks like they just went in the corner, got a little loose. You see right there, it looks that the 53 got loose, slid up the racetrack, made a little contact with the driver that came out to the outside, gets into Ryan Vargas, and it's a parking lot right there. At that moment, you're vulnerable to what's going to happen. Yeah, look at the onboard of Wood here, as yeah, this might be one of the coolest shots we're gonna see, as then boom! Into the wall he goes, and like a fighter pilot flying the jet, he smacks the wall a ton.
Nothing you can do. is your Gabe Wood in that point. He's just hoping to get to the inside and avoid any sort of contact whatsoever, and just got clipped at the very end of that, and into the fence he went. However, he still has a fast repair. As you see, Ron Capps is on board. Capps is a fast repair too, so yes, big damage for Gabe Wood in this incident, but he'll be able to come down pit road and get the car fixed up so that he can continue on in this race. However, some drivers here not quite so lucky in that bunch. Most likely, Matt Stoneck's probably going to be done for the night. We'll take a quick moment to step aside, bring you words from some of our friends, and we'll be back with the conclusion of the SimSeats 120 in just a few moments. You're watching coverage of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway on Podium Esports.
We are an industrial flooring company specializing in custom floors and drains. We don't believe in the one-size-fits-all approach to flooring, and neither should you. When you choose Toughco, we consult with you about your needs, industry requirements, and factor in numerous variables. After assessing your facility, we engineer your floor and drains, then install everything ourselves. That's the Toughco way.
Visit our website at toughgoflooring.com.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars, and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone, and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Podium Esports coverage of the SimSeats 120 race number 2 in season number 4 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy. Shane Spike, the voice of Podium Esports, alongside Terry Radford and our producer, Brian Bauer. Special shout out to our camera builder, Dougie Beard, and our social media coordinator, Eric Messer, and Justin Prince, who has just come back from pit road and may have a little bit more information for us before we go green with 12 laps to go. Justin.
Well, when it comes to some of the drivers, Adam Cabot has just been told essentially to not sleep on the start. They had a bit of a struggle the last restart in terms of timing things up, as well as to make sure they sync things up with some of the drivers. In fact, the majority of the drivers around them starting in first gear, going through the gears of the restart zone last time. Meanwhile, when it comes to the 44 Roger Karuf, who just dodged a lot of the chaos before, he's got the help of Malik Ray once more up on the spotter stand. He's been essentially told, drive like you know how to drive. Keep an eye on that over the next 12 laps.
We know how talented Raja Karuth is in the sim, and especially in the stock cars. We saw him nearly drive through the field to win the championship a season ago. He just came short that time. Is tonight a different story for him or for anybody else towards the front, as we'll go back to green flag racing, 12 laps to go, as the big green and green flag comes out once again. This time, it's Colin Fern who gets a good start. David Schildhouse got a better restart, but not quite the one he wanted. Garrett Smithley clear to the inside, and Robbie Lyons now looking to the bottom as the Klingerman Sport teammates battle for third.
the outside lane has not been the predominant lane to get a good restart, and that was not
Trouble
what
behind.
happened.
TJ Majors hard into the fence, and the yellow flag comes out once again. There's DJ Cummings, who just clobbered Mark Rebillis there. And we go back under the yellow flag once again. I saw Majors was the first one who was sideways out of turn 2, and then it all just took off from there, Terry.
Yeah, I mean, it started off of the exit of 2, and it continued all the way down the back straightaway. Everybody fighting to get up here and charge for the lead. As you look right here on the aerial cam, you see TJ Majors right here. He gets right below the 17, makes contact with Gary Sexton, gets into the 24, and then all heck breaks loose. The 42 of Preston Pardis, a tough break for the man who was leading this race, was waiting for the caution, didn't happen, and he gets collected in this incident. But I believe that he has a fast repair save, so not all will be lost for Preston, but a tough night to say the least. As big, that's tough.
Nice. I was about to say, I wonder if we get on board from James Bickford. He had a very nice view through that incident. Just got on the brakes enough to slow down as that trio of Pardis and Rogers and TJ Majors and company managed to smash the fence on the inside retaining wall in the back straightaway. One more look at this here, and maybe, here's our onboard from James Bickford. You see just how nuts it was just ahead of him. The contact there between Rogers and TJ Majors, and you see him just sort of fly back behind and off of the rearview mirror. And then DJ Cummings nearly getting into trouble there and hitting Bickford after the fact as they go into turn 3.
Every driver right here in this pack coming through the field, this is what some of them wanted to see. You heard the report on Caruth. Drive like you know how to drive. Well, this just cleared up some space. It cleared up the cap salary for some of these drivers, where now positions are free. They were given a second opportunity, who just came down pit road to go make a charge to the lead. The 10 makes huge contact, and then it just, everything behind him just comes flying in and hitting him. This is product of 10 laps to go. Now we're not going to see anybody lifting. It's a all-out high chance stakes, and we're playing. I can only play checkers, but these boys are out here playing chess.
Are you thinking you might want to cash your chips in the middle of the table? This is Las Vegas, after all.
I took my all-out bet last week on David Schildhouse. I'm not going to do it again. I'm betting 1,000 like Dylan Conley. I'm good. I'm going to walk away from the table with some chips in my pocket.
That's fair enough. Come away with a few souvenirs from your trip out here. Not the worst thing in the world to do, as the lights should go off the pace car. Yes, this time by. So 9 laps to go once we get the restart. This could get crazy, to say the least. Just looking at this here, amongst the top 10, I believe David Schildhouse is the only driver that has used his fast repair, which I know what he was doing there on that last pit stop when he was trying to get himself the track position, but do you wonder now whether or not that could be a perilous position to be in, given how hard they've been racing up at the front? The other thing worth noting is that Garrett Smithley is going to be the car to the outside of Colin Fern. Remember, he's on old tires, and Fern was able to jump away nicely from Schildhouse on fresh tires on that last restart. So it makes you wonder, will Garrett Smithley struggle to get going, and could that stack up the outside lane before they get to turn 1 on this restart?
I'm telling you, if I'm Dave Schildhouse right now, who cares? He has no care in the world. He won Daytona. He started the season off with a win. He's checkers or wreckers at this moment, and him starting on the inside lane, that could play dividends. But Kyle Busch out there in the 4th place position, second on the outside, could smell trouble, because the outside lane has struggled each restart we've had.
I think he's going to try to need to get up to the wall as soon as he can once Colin Fern decides to go. Big green egg, green flag coming out here inside of 10 laps to go in the Sim Seats 120, and Fern got a good jump. Smithley got a decent jump. I think Busch almost tried to wait a little bit, but they're going to let Smithley get in line. So it's 1-2. Well, I thought he was going to go in line, and then he's going to, yes, now he'll go in line. So yes, first 2 nose to tail, and Robbie Lyons and Kyle Busch left the fight for 3rd.
That was one of the best restarts we've seen for the outside road this entire race. As Garrett Smithley, he's fighting for the lead. He gets into Colin Fern right there, almost turned him down the back straightaway. And here comes Kyle Busch in the 51. He's to the outside of Smithley for P2.
Here comes Kyle Busch to the outside, now to the inside with the momentum that he got. He's going to move Colin Fern right out of the way, and Kyle Busch will go to the inside for the race lead at Las Vegas inside of 10 laps to go.
Kyle Busch has the eye of the tiger coming off the exit of turn 2. He can't quite clear the 86 of Colin Fern. Garrett Smithley in the catbird seat in P3, sees him go side by side, wants to take a peek for 3 wide, but there's no room for him. Still 2 by 1 by 2 off the exit of 4. 6 to go at Vegas.
Here comes Colin Fern to the outside. Gary Sexton trying to work the inside. Busch trying to hang on, but there goes Fern back to the point. Garrett Smithley trying to go back-to-back in successive races in Monday Night Racing at Las Vegas and win once again, just like he did in July. He'll go clear of Kyle Busch, and now here comes Robbie Lyons to the inside as Busch slams the door right in his face.
Big push down the back straightaway for Kyle Busch from the defending champion Robbie Lyons, but he slides up the racetrack. The caution flag goes out, 31's around.
Out indeed, yes. You see Bernard Pollard in trouble on the back straightaway, and it breaks up one of the best stints of racing we've had all night long. But Bernard Pollard contact with DJ Cummings in the back, and I think Preston Pardis might have just been clipped on this one too. As you get a look at the replay, see what happened here. Yeah, contact. That's almost identical to what we saw with Stephen Ellis's incident at the very beginning of this race. Drivers just trying to get as high as they can on the back straightaway and not realizing that there's company already to their outside.
Yeah, everybody's they're positioning themselves, and as he comes off the exit of the corner, tried to clear all the way up to the wall because that sets up your entry to the corner. It's going to allow you to pick the lane that you want and get the perfect arc. But for Bernard Pollard right there, the 10 was already in that position. But man, oh man, we're going to see it. About 3 laps to go when we take this green flag. The top 3's a crapshoot at this moment. And look at Gary Sexton. Where did he come from? He's in 5th.
Gary Sexton is in P number 5. It is going to be very impressive. Also, that speeding car to the outside, we haven't had the chance to talk about him much, and I feel like we definitely need to make the point because amongst the charities that we've seen pop up over the course of this last 24-hour period, we talked about Brad Perez at the beginning of the broadcast. Let's talk about Cole Irvin now at the end of this broadcast. Cole has put together a fundraiser for the Movember Foundation that you see adorning his race car, and I know Justin Prince had a little bit more on that. We'll see if we can get him back up here to talk more about the whole Movember Foundation movement. But Cole Irvin, raising money for the Movember Foundation and trying to raise awareness for men's health as well.
This battle is shaping up to what could be one of the best finishes we'll ever see here in Monday Night Racing. I mean, you got Colin Fern right here, Garrett Smithley to the outside, Kyle Busch in 3rd, the defending champion, Robbie Lyons, Gary Sexton. Can the outside lane get the momentum that they look for? Because if the 53 can pull off 2 consecutive good restarts on the outside, slide in front of Kyle Busch, he has an opportunity to get to the back bumper of the 86 and slide him up the racetrack.
How tight this could be. This could be the last restart, but we'll have to wait and find out as Colin Fern's going to get the opportunity to go one more time. Green flag back out. Big green and green flag in the air, and 3 laps to go in this SimSeats 125. It was a decent restart for Colin Fern. It was actually a pretty good restart, all things considered, for Kyle Busch, as Garrett Smithley's going to try and roll that high line, and Robbie Lyons has to figure out which way he's going to go.
Kyle Busch had no help on the restart, but Robbie Lyons gets to the back bumper. He's going to shove him down the Nellis straightaway and get him into P2. Now it's a battle as a wreck happens in the back.
Everybody wrecking from about 13th on back, and there were a lot of drivers who got stuffed into the fence over in turn 3. As we're going to look at the replay, Max Kennan was the first one that I saw go around, and then about 6 or 7 other drivers came in at the end of that with him, as we're going to look and see what happened. But contact, I think, between David Schildhouse and James Bickford is what sets this incident off.
Yeah, it did set it off. You see what Bickford did. He tried to go down, get all the way to the white line, set himself up for the entry of the corner, but he wasn't clear when he came back up, and that initiated and triggered the big one at Las Vegas. A lot of people getting aggressive right here, and this is a product of this pack style racing that we have. And look at the onboard with TJ Majors here. He's right behind Ron Capps, and you just see the contact start to happen in front of him. Everybody's moving, everybody's swaying back and forth, going down the back straightaway, and then he can't see 3 or 4 cars ahead of him, much less 5 or 6. He's up against the wall, and boom, right into the side of that car. Ron Capps collected one more time, back-to-back wrecks for Capps.
Ron Capps involved, Max Kinnon, Travis Brown, Stephen Wilson, Seth Eggert, Justin Malillo. Looks like, I believe, Case Kallenbach also caught up in this, as was Devin Henry. Some of the drivers involved in this as we get set for our first attempt at a green white checker. For more on the Movember Foundation fundraiser Cole Irvin is doing, let's go down to Justin Prince.
And you mentioned the foundation. Cole Irvin had, before today's race, mentioned he wanted to raise awareness for men's health with the help of Movember, with the goal of raising $10,000. Ron Capps was among those who joined in supporting the cause prior to today's race. He also, prior to the green flag, had raised $1,000 so far towards that total. So Cole Irvin trying to raise money for a great cause throughout the month. Keep in mind, when it comes to Movember, he mentioned as well that there's also a physical challenge component where he has to essentially work out 100 hours throughout that time for the MLB pitcher.
Big stuff from Cole Irvin that's going to go down all throughout Movember, as some people call it. Lights are off in the pace car once again. Another quickie yellow. Our first to 3 green white checkers. As always, if we get the white before we get the yellow, the race is over at the moment of caution. If the yellow comes out before the white, we'll rack them up and try this again. Big green flag back out in the Sim Seats 120. Fern gets a good jump. Bush, a decent jump. He's going to slide right in line. Look at Raja Caruth immediately dropping to the apron.
Race like you know how to race. Rajat Caruth has made it happen. He's came all the way back from 22nd. Garrett Smithley gets jumped up. Caruth's on the apron, 3 wide. They're sideways slipping and sliding here as they're battling to get to the front. Caruth might have burnt his stuff up, but here comes Kyle Busch for the lead. He's there. Can he make the pass happen on Colin Fern?
Bush versus Fern, and we stay clean all the way down the front stretch. McCody set up shop. White flag is out. 1 lap to go in this MC's 120.
1 to go. Kyle Busch, can he make this pass happen? Fern gets to the white line. He's painting it in the Shenandoah Shine Chevrolet Camaro. Kyle Busch down the back straightaway. Can he hold it? Last time down it.
1 more shot through 3 and 4. Kyle Busch is going to have to nail the exit to have any shot at Colin Fern. He'll dip to the inside. Fern will go high. Busch will follow suit, and that will be it. Colin Fern comes across the line, and the Shenandoah Shine Chevrolet Camaro comes home P1 in Sin City. Colin Fern wins the Sim Seats 120 and the second race of the year for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series from iRacing's virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
That's how you win, and he beat the hometown boy in Las Vegas, Nevada. Gary Sexton comes up and gives the 86 of Colin Fern a little love tap there, but what a win. The man from New York comes to Sin City, and he threw them all on the line. He wins the race in an incredible fashion.
It's just defense. It's good defense and a good read of things. You see Raja Caruth coming up to give a little love tap to Colin Fern, who picks up his first win in the Pro Series, new to the Pro Series for Season 4, and in his second start. That's a way to get it done. That's, shall we say, maybe a little bit Jamie McMurray-esque?
Absolutely. He's missing a couple colors there, but the Martin Sports winning moment right here. Use promo code PODIUM for 25% off any in-stock glove. What a moment for Colin Fern. Second start, gets the win, and he beats the 2-time Cup Series champion.
A big-time Martin Sports winning moment for Colin Fern. No question about it. He will celebrate on the front stretch, and we will talk to him, as well as the other 2 podium finishers on the other side of this break. You're watching coverage of the Sim Seats 120 for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy from iRacing's virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway on Podium Esports. When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that McConey Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in iRacing. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Five Flags Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at McConey Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, McConey Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to McConeySetupShop.com and learn why McConey Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing.
And remember, at McConey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Everything I see, live lives, no apology. Take charge, no one can compete. I just do what comes natural.
Welcome back to Podium Esports coverage of the SimSeats 120 race number 2 of the season number 4 on the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy. Terry Radford, here's a look at this final restart, which saw Colin Fern take home the checkered flag.
Well, it was crucial for him on the initial start right there to get through the gears and get ahead of Kyle Busch and not only get in front of him, but separate himself just a little bit down the back straightaway. He was able to position himself on the bottom, take away any air that Kyle Busch would have got. And everything that he did was perfect. The outside lane actually got a restart that was decent here tonight. And when he came to the white flag, look, Kyle Busch went all the way down, nearly touching the grass, shot himself up, going into one. He just played defense. Colin Fern did everything possible to keep Kyle Busch behind him. And that meant taking the air away, knowing where he was going to go. This right here played into the strategy of pay attention to what he's doing. He's been the fastest guy. Watch what line he's going to take. Watch what he's going to do. And somebody had to keep an eye on him. And he comes across the line. He just played perfect defense here.
That was a tremendous amount of work there from Colin Fern to get the job done. As we take a look at the full field rundown and see that Colin Fern beats Kyle Busch by just under a tenth of a second. Robbie Lyons will begin his charge toward a championship with a nice P3 to go on the docket. Gary Sexton fourth, Adam Cabot fifth. So you've got 2 championship 4 drivers from a year ago, or a season ago rather, in the top 5. Brian Boris Cook with a good finish. P6, Raja Caruth rebounded for 7th. Devin Henry and James Bigford were mired in the teens and 20s for a good chunk of this race. They'll take 8th and 9th at the end of this, as will Gabe Wood, who finishes the top 10.
You look at here at the 11th place position, you got Will Rogers, played a little strategy, got himself up there. Stephen Wilson did a great job. Josh Balicki, we saw him at one point in time on his roof, rebounded for a 13th. DJ Cummings was involved in some incidents, came here in 14th. Michael Massey, 15th. Steve Affont in 16th. Matt Stolnick in 17th. Stephen Ellis, 18th. Chris Wilner, 19th. And Mark Rabilis rounding out your top 20.
Justin Malillo was 21st this evening. 22nd went to Brett Baldock. Max Kinnon finished in 23rd, and David Schildhaus comes home in 24th. Ron Katz was 25th this evening. 26th went to Preston Pardis. Ford Martin finished in the 27th position. 28th went to Drew Welker. 29th was where Seth Eggert brought it home, and Garrett Smithley completed the top 30.
Looking back here at 31st, Garrett Miller 1 lap down. Cole Irvin with a good charity out here in 32nd, -2 laps. TJ Majors with a strong run, mired back in 33rd. Travis Brown 34th. Case Collenbach 35th. Bernard Pollard Jr. 8 laps down in 36th. Ryan Vargas 37th. Dylan Welch 38th. And rounding out your 39 car field, Brad Perez 85 down.
There's your full field rundown for the second race of the young season for Monday Night Racing. Let's bring in our race winner, as we are now joined by the man behind the wheel of the Brandon-built Motorsports Shenandoah Shine Chevy Camaro, Colin Fern. You're a Monday Night Racing winner, but you had to hold off a 2-time Cup Series champion in the process. So take us through that last restart. What did you do to secure the victory tonight?
I don't know if it's so much anything I did. It's just he lost his push behind him. Those guys got really racy, third on back, and he just didn't have any help to gain a run. And these cars are so momentum-based that without any help, you're not going to really get a good run in 2 laps. And just took his air away on that last lap, and I think that was about all she wrote, as long as I kept it straight through 3 and 4.
For those who don't see you regularly on the weekends, tell us a little bit about what you do for Brandon Built. What's your role with the organization, and how do you help them in the day-to-day?
That's kind of the $1 million question for everybody at Brandon Built Motorsports. It's anything from setting up scales to driving the car through tech and submitting rosters, credentials, anything like that. We've grown so much in the last 2 years. I've kind of had some responsibilities taken away from me, and I'm okay with that to a sense. But we do run out of 2 shops, and I am the guy that goes back and forth between Virginia and North Carolina, making sure everything works on the day-to-day side. And other than that, setting the budget and make sure we don't go broke.
It's a big way to start off your Monday Night Racing career. You come in brand new for this season of the Pro Series, a winner in your second crack, and you beat a Cup Series champion twice over. To do it, you almost sound more calm than I would expect somebody in your position to be. But what's it mean to you to get a victory in this series in this way?
Well, I was trying to joke with Kyle there. He left the session too early. I was more excited about the fact I get some a 12-pack of Rowdy Energy for free. I've never tried it. I'm excited to try some of that. But no, it's cool, man. Ford and Paul and all those guys that set the league up. I reached out to Ford middle of the season last year, and he said he took me up with a spot. And obviously they had so many entries. I'm just lucky to be able to get into the Pro Series, race with all these guys, and it's just a ton of fun. And Kyle, obviously, if we were in a real race car, probably would have made me look dumb. But luckily we're on the game where I think I have a little more experience, and we got it done.
You get it done. You get a victory. You're playoff racing as well. Colin, congratulations on winning the Sim Seats 120. And thanks, as always, for chatting with us this evening.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for putting the show on. It's great to watch back.
There's a man out of Norwich, New York. It's Colin Fern coming away with the victory tonight. P2 was the hometown man, Kyle Busch, and he is with our Terry Radford.
Kyle Busch, P2, we know you don't like to finish there, but talk about the race. How much fun did you have here tonight at your home racetrack, and what could you have done different to get up to the side of Colin Fern and maybe make a bigger race out of it?
Yeah, we had a good race there. It was pretty fun. Enjoyed it. Just having an opportunity to be fast and lead a lot of laps and run up front like that was good. But unfortunately, just there at the end, got a good restart from the outside and fell in line, and then it kind of dissolved behind me, I guess. And so you kind of had to have some momentum, some push from behind. And, when you get single filed out with these style of cars, that's pretty typical of what goes down. So was trying to find a run anywhere, but it's the runs come so slow and the block can be so fast that you just can't overcome that. So come home P2 with the Rowdy Energy Camry. What's interesting to me, though, if you back up to the final round of pit stops, how and why Vargas went down pit road and then came off first, took the lead, I restarted second, and then when he drove down into turn 1, just let everybody go. So that kind of took the control of the race away from me right there in being able to control the restarts. So that I will remember.
We'll talk about, you talked about the outside lane. We didn't really see the outside get a good restart. We saw Garrett Smithley get a restart out of there that was decent. Is there anything that you learned from what he did to get that momentum coming off of that outside lane going into one? And maybe you were thinking, okay, I can hang on his door a little bit, or was it just a little too late coming into there into that corner?
No, the biggest thing was just dropping down in the line as soon as you could. Like I said, there was a gap there between first and third. Take the gap, get down to the bottom, so then you don't get shoved to the outside and then just lose spots being out there. But as soon as I saw that hole develop, I just knew to get in and then see what happens after that point behind you.
Well, your season here in Monday Night Racing, obviously your Rowdy Energy is the title sponsor of this. How much of just enthusiasm do you bring to this, and how much does it mean to you to not only give to your fans on the racetrack, but on the iRacing platform as well, to bring the Rowdy Energy name to a series like this and put more eyes on it?
Yeah, I mean, you guys tell me about the enthusiasm. I'm coming just to have fun and have a good time, race, and try to get a win here before I might have to miss a couple weeks just due to travel and other stuff that goes on. Try to get ourselves eligible for the playoffs and whatnot. But it's just all about brand awareness. Having the opportunity to do that, it's fun. It's just, Ford was super nice to offer it up and give us the chance to kind of bid on it to start with there. We took a bite on it, and hopefully everybody enjoys what we're all about, and that's supporting just the community, whether it's iRacing or the community around us on social media with the can that can. Essentially, we're a great product. We've got great ingredients that'll help you through your day and keep you hydrated, keep you energized, and ready to go for your next adventure.
Well, I tell you what, Kyle Busch, congratulations on P2. I know my wife's a big fan of Rowdy, and she's a big fan of yours. Congratulations on P2 here this evening, and we can't wait to see you in the next race.
All right. Well, she's a smart lady, so tell her I appreciate that.
She's watching, Kyle.
There you go. Well, I appreciate that, and look forward to the next couple weeks. Again, hopefully we can get a win here.
Thank you, Kyle. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Kyle Busch, P2. We'll see whether or not he has a conversation with Ryan Vargas. I don't know if he knows at this stage that Vargas didn't have any tires. So I figure there'll be a friendly chat between drivers at some point over the next few days to make sure that's all cleared up. But we'll let those two sort that out. We'll turn now to P3. Robbie Lyons from Seminole, Florida now joins us. And Robbie, weird race to start off at Daytona, but this is more like how you wanted your title defense to start off this season, no?
No, definitely. I think the power rankings from this week kind of motivated me to put my head down and be more up on the wheel. Typically at Daytona with the plate races and stuff, in real life, when there's real life consequences, I tend to be more conservative right at the back and wait until the end. But it's always been tough for me to balance the two, and just wasn't aggressive enough last week. And this week, I would say the opposite. We were really aggressive. The runs worked right when I needed them. The holes opened up. But there at the end, I had one bad restart and then made up for those last few. So it was a fun race for sure.
The one thing I've noticed from your team in particular, teams new and with greater emphasis in this season, more so than ever before, we saw it play out in the championship race in season 3, but coming into season 4, it really looks like the Kligerman Sport drivers are working incredibly well together. What's training testing for these races like from the team perspective, and how well are you all getting along early on in season 4?
Well, I can't say I've done a whole lot of testing and practicing. That'll change here over the off season. I actually just got home from Las Vegas. We were at the SEMA show, stopped by the iRacing tent and tested out the SimSeats motion rig. Hopefully one day I can get myself in one of those. Probably should work on it here. That might be the extra nudge we need to get in victory lane. But we here at the Kligerman Sport team, I mean, I think it's all familiarity. The more we've gotten to know each other, I've gotten to meet David in person several times now, and just being around each other off the racetrack, I think kind of leads to us all being more comfortable on the racetrack. And I actually hated that I hung him out there the restart before last. but it was so important to be on the bottom on these restarts. So I knew if the yellow came out again, that bottom line was going to be key. And as you saw there at the finish, it was. It was fun racing with Kyle. I knew he had the fastest car for sure, and I felt like if I could push him ahead, we could definitely end up second. But Colin did a great job managing the lanes there and working the air over the front of Kyle. And like Kyle said, the runs here just don't happen nearly fast enough, and you just can't build that momentum back up out of the corners, you normally would, or maybe even like it is in real life. But ran out of laps there at the end. Me and Colin were talking, just wishing we could have had more green flag racing, but you'll have that, especially with this kind of racing.
It's only going to get crazier next week. We're going to Michigan, which is always one of the wilder tracks on the calendar. And we bring back the super late models for the first time since season 2, almost a year ago. Do you have any expectations for how nuts that might be in comparison to how crazy the end of this race was?
I really don't. Last year when we ran the All-Star race in the Super there, me and Chad Reed got together in the LCQ race, and I had very limited practice, and I was expecting it to be wide open and handling not to be an issue, and it turned out that was not the case. So we missed the show. So I'm behind the 8 ball going into next week, but as you mentioned earlier, practice and testing, that's something that we'll definitely be doing here this coming week.
Robbie, congratulations on your podium finish. Thanks for the time. We'll see you in the Irish Hills 1 week from tonight.
Yeah, I look forward to it, and I got to thank everybody, Kligerman Sport, Kyle Dagger, Parker Kligerman, E-Racer, everybody here at Podium, and look forward to next week.
Robbie Lyons, defending champion, going to try and continue his march towards a second successive Monday Night Racing title next week. We now bring in P4, Gary Sexton, who is joined by Terry Radford.
Well, Gary Sexton, I gave you a ton of grief last week for not living up to the expectations you set on yourself, but up 20 positions to P4. How did you make it through the carnage that happened there at the end? And how cool was it to race here at Vegas in the Cup cars?
Yeah, the carnage, I just happened to be in front of it when it started getting crazy there. We got most of our spots under green, so I didn't have to rely on getting through the carnage to make it to the front. So yeah, we just kind of got lucky there to be right in front of a few of those wrecks. Some of them were a little too close for comfort, but yeah, all in all, it was a really good run. I totally missed the mark in qualifying. It really surprised me. I didn't expect to qualify that poorly. So once we knew we were starting way in the back, we were just gonna save tires and try to get through as much as possible, make up spots on pit entry. I think that's something that I've worked on quite a bit, is my pit entry. I've learned that, especially on the sim, it's real easy to gain 5 or 6 spots on a cycle. And I think that's exactly what I did when we started that one green flag run. I was like 16th and then came out 10th. So yeah, all in all, it was a great run for our Battle Beaver Camry.
I'll tell you, the Battle Beaver Camry sure was battling up to the front. I appreciate everything you do here for Podium Esports, and we love you, Gary. We're going to kick it on over to James Pike.
Well, just to take an opportunity to talk about your partnership with Battle Beaver, with Boosted, all that's come on, because we know they've come up big for you here for season 4, and you've got a lot of exciting stuff that you're working on down that front.
Yeah, this deal came together probably, I want to say last minute, and it was literally last minute. I didn't even have my car painted or nothing. We were working on the details right before the start of the race last week. But yeah, Battle Beaver Customs jumped on board and boosted.club. Boosted.club is a good place for gamers to kind of have their own little merch store, their own place to you upload the logo, they sell the shirts, you get your money as the shirts sell. And then, our main sponsor, Battle Beaver, is just their custom gaming skins. Awesome company. Love their logos. Love everything about them. Really helps make my life easier when designing my cars. We're definitely the best looking car out there. And so far this season, we're pretty quick too. So I really look forward to having those guys on board the rest of the year. Not only on my car, but here on the broadcast with Podium. it's just going to be a great season for us and everybody involved in Monday Night Racing.
Gary, congratulations on bringing it home fourth, and we'll see you at Michigan for the Super Late Model race next Monday night.
Thank you, guys.
Gary Sexton, P4, and Terry Radford. That ending was about what I figured. I thought we were going to see some nuttiness. If anything, maybe it was a little bit more tempered than I expected. But again, my perception was a little bit thrown off just off of what we saw last year. We didn't see 4 wide and wrecking to the line coming out of 4 this time, but we did see a really good finish. And now the attention shifts to Michigan and to the super late models, where we'll have a little bit of precedent to look back on. But it's been a while since we've been to Michigan with that combo.
Yeah, and what an extra incentive here with double points. I mean, 2 times here going into Michigan with the super late models. A lot of nerves coming out of Vegas going into Michigan next week. Very different racetracks, higher speed at Michigan than you had here. It's going to be interesting to see how drivers kind of position themselves, because then you got the wild card, 2 wild cards in a row, I would say, with the Daytona Road Course, and then going to sling some mud at Knoxville, Iowa. It's going to be a battle of attrition like we saw tonight. How you manage yourself through the schedule they have here. I mean, you got next gens at Phoenix, the 87s at, man, I forgot the track. But you get all of these different cars coming out here, and every single one of these drivers has to prepare themselves each and every week to be the best of the best. And tonight showed it with what they did on the racetrack. I mean, Colin Fern held off a 2-time Cup Series champion to win at his home racetrack. They beat the hometown boy. That's a storybook ending if you're Colin Fern.
The composure and the demeanor of Colin Fern in that interview we just heard a few moments ago, I think says a lot about where his focus is and how he wants to attack this all season. And I think we'll probably see more. Also of note, I want to circle back to this. Double points. Only time this season we are going to have a double points race, which could end up being pivotal in the championship race, depending on how things play out. And also of note, defending race winner with the Super Late Models of Michigan in Season 2, Preston Pardis. And when you take that into account with the fact that we're going MX5 racing at the Daytona Road Course the following week, I think there's a very real chance that we see Preston Pardis in the hunt 2 weeks in a row. He may come out of that with 2 wins straight. It'd be a big boost to, at minimum, his playoff hopes for Season 4. Plenty coming up in the world of iRacing over the course of the next few days. Our coverage of iRacing continues tomorrow night with the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series from Homestead Miami Speedway, as some of the best from the eNASCAR Qualifying iRacing Series and the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series battle out for the last 20 spots in next season's Coke Series field. Our broadcast will start at 9 p.m. tomorrow night on iRacing's Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube channels. And then we've got PCA Sim Racing from Alton Park in the United Kingdom. You'll see the Challenger and the Sport classes on November 10th, the Club and Pro classes on Friday, November 12th, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern at PCA Sim Racing YouTube channel, the place to be for those broadcasts. The SimMax Cup Series powered by MPI heads to Dover Sunday night, November 14th, 9:15 p.m. Eastern start for that one on the Podium Esports Twitch channel. And then we are back with more coverage of the Monday Night Racing action. The Road to Glory, presented by Tefco Flooring, heads to Michigan for some super late model racing at 7 p.m. on the main Podium Esports Twitch channel. And then the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy heads to Michigan with the same super late models at 8 p.m. Eastern. That broadcast you'll see on twitch.tv/Podium2, as well as the Podium YouTube, Facebook pages, and the MNR Twitter page. And for those who have been watching on iRacing's platforms, it's been fun to have you along the last 2 weeks. We are not going to be on the iRacing platforms next week, but again, follow Podium Esports on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and you will see coverage of next week's race. And don't forget twitch.tv/Podium2 if you want to stay on Twitch and stay involved with the fastest and the best broadcasts in sim racing. Time to round out our broadcast from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway in this SimSeats 120 for the Monday Night Racing Pro League presented by Rowdy Energy. Big thanks to everybody at M&R for helping us put this on. Ford Martin, Paul Sutton, Race Control, Josh Mendoza, and for our team behind the scenes at Podium Esports, Cisco Scaramouza, Gary Sexton, John Theodore. For tonight's producer, Ryan Bauer, our camera builder, Dougie Beard, our social media coordinator, Eric Messer, and my partner in the booth, Terry Radford. I am James Putt, the voice of Podium Esports. Thank you so much for watching our broadcast of Monday Night Racing's Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy, and congratulations to Colin Fern, winner at Las Vegas in the Sim Seats 120.